Welcome back to Finance Friday. And today I need your help with something. And actually, no, not me. Imagine your boss says to you, I need your help with something. We need to figure out this problem. What do? You absolutely don't throw your hands up in the air and say, I'm not qualified, right? You research, you ask questions, you gather the data that you need, you speak to experts, and you come up with a plan. And if you need to, you even put in a few extra hours to make it happen. Or maybe your boss says, we need to reduce next quarter's budget by 15%. Again, you don't assume that you're incapable. You analyze the numbers, you look for opportunities, and you solve the problem. Or if your boss says, we need to launch a new product, you learn what you need to learn and you figure it out. Because that is what capable people do. And yet when it comes to investing our own money, something completely different seems to happen. Suddenly we tell ourselves, I'm just not good with numbers. I'm just not good with money. Or the stock market is way too complicated. I'd rather leave it to the experts. And that's really crazy, right? Exactly the same person who confidently makes six-figure business decisions, manages teams, negotiates contracts, or runs their own business, suddenly believes that they don't have what it takes to learn how to invest. Why? Why? Because somewhere along the way, we have been conditioned to believe that managing our own money is different, that it's too complicated or too risky, and something only financial experts can understand. But here's the truth. You are not incapable of learning about investing. You've simply been taught to believe that you are. Hi, I'm Michele, and I teach women how to invest in the stock market. And the very, very first investment that anyone needs to make is not even in the stock market. It's in rebuilding the trust in your own ability to learn about money. And there are 5 reasons we don't believe we can, right? Number 1, we've outsourced our confidence. We automatically assume that someone else knows better, right? Whether it's the bank manager, our financial advisor, experts in the media, or the financial news. Now, there's nothing wrong with learning from experts, but somewhere along the way, we've stopped believing that we could learn. And that's the problem, not believing that you can become knowledgeable yourself. Number 2, the finance language that makes it feel exclusive, right? The stock market has its own vocabulary. Things like dividend yield or PE ratios, asset allocation or capital gains. But when you first started out in your career, you didn't know everything there was to know. And I'm sure there were many times where you felt overwhelmed. And that didn't mean that you were incapable, it simply meant that you were new. And the exact same applies to investing. Number 3, the media rewards fear. You know that news doesn't make money by saying market quietly increased by 8% this year. You know that instead we hear things like market crash or recession fears, worst day ever, because fear captures attention. And unfortunately, if that's all we hear, we associate investing with danger instead of with opportunity. Number 4, school never taught us. We spent years at school learning about algebra or trigonometry, history, chemistry, and geography, but no time at all learning about compounding growth, dividends, long-term investing, inflation, or ETFs. And then when we become adults, we assume that everyone else knows something we don't, where most people are actually starting from exactly the same place. And number 5, our internal belief system. Long before we were able to rationally decide whether we wanted it or not, we learned our internal money beliefs from our caregivers and from our parents. When we were just kids, we absorbed not only what they told us about money, but also what we witnessed, right, in their behavior, their worries, their habits, their arguments around money, their generosity or scarcity, and their confidence. And over time, these experiences became our internal belief system. And the unconscious rules that we live by today, things like money is hard to earn, or there's never enough, money changes you, I can't be trusted with money. And on top of that, then those beliefs get reinforced in our early adulthood relationships with our partners, with our friends, with lecturers, or with our colleagues and bosses. And because these beliefs were formed so early in our life, we often believe that they're facts instead of stories. And they quietly influence how we earn money, how we spend money, how we invest money, and all the financial decisions we make without us even realizing it. So just think about this for a second. If you don't trust yourself with money, or you don't trust yourself to learn about money, it may not be because you're bad with it. It may be because you're following a set of rules that were inherited, not consciously chosen. And the good news is that once you become aware of those beliefs, you can begin questioning them and then maybe replacing them with ones that support the financial life that you want. Because it's clear, right? We trust ourselves in so many other areas of our life. If I think about myself, and you might relate, right? I learned to drive a car. I learned to buy a house. I learned to use my smartphone. I learned to travel overseas and be successful in my job. And then I learned to start a business and how to become a constantly learning parent. None of these things came naturally. I had to learn them, and I did. But investing is no different. For so many years, I believed that investing was something that other people understood. And then I discovered that learning about investing wasn't about being brilliant, it was about learning a system. And once I learned to understand the basics, I realized that I'd been giving away my confidence, not because I wasn't capable, but because I was never shown how simple it could actually be. So today, don't ask, can I trust myself in the stock market? Ask, can I trust myself to learn, to take one small step? And for most people, the answer would be yes, because learning is far less intimidating than expecting to be an expert overnight. You don't have to become a financial expert. You don't have to predict the market, and you don't need to know absolutely everything there is about investing. You simply need to believe that you're capable of learning, because the biggest barrier to building wealth isn't the lack of intelligence or lack of ability. It's a lack of belief in yourself, and beliefs can change. So tell me, what is one message about money that you grew up believing that now you're starting to question? I'll see you next week.